Hello, sir.
Hello. Oh, I'm supposed to say good morning, right?
Oh, right. Yes.
But it's not morning.
It's
But
not.
for it to be authentic.
Yeah, and I should probably sound like I just woke up too. But alas.
Actually, I thought it was pre-recorded, the intro, actually.
I know, because it's almost identical every time. Yes.
No, it's not. It's not Ben.
It's not Ben. I am joined today by the one and only Peter Suhm. Hey, Peter.
Hey, there's actually a Peter Suhm in Wisconsin, but yeah.
Oh, okay. The Danish one then.
The Danish one.
Ben is busy this week, and so just last minute decided, hey, why don't we just do a mastermind session live on the air for AOP?
Yeah, I think you asked me after I had a glass of wine for dinner, so
Okay.
maybe we'll
Good.
add some interesting different vibes to the podcast.
Well, I'm still sipping my probably final cup of coffee for the day, so we'll see. I'll try to keep the caffeinated energy up going for us.
Sounds good.
So I figured we would just kind of do a normal update show. I mean, probably a lot of people are familiar with you. You're present on Twitter and in the community, but you, in the last couple of years, have been working on Branch, and then you recently have been building Reform. So
yeah, we took that last bit of runway and changed up things a bit.
yeah, you're in an exciting time right now. You're kind of inviting early access users and on the cusp of publicly launching, right?
Yeah, my co-founder Bjorn and I, we realized yesterday that we're on and off on vacation in July. So if we want to launch, it had to be either next week or in August. And August just sounds like so far in the future. But I think it actually will have to wait a bit because we're not quite ready. And we still got a lot of invites to send. And it's fine. Like we keep momentum right now just with the invites. So there's not really a big reason to launch right now.
Yeah. Time moves really quickly when you're in this phase of like leading up to a launch, and those last minute like to-do items always end up stacking up. I've butted up against this multiple times near the end of the year because it's like usually a bad idea to launch in December, you know? So then like heading into the fall, I'm always like, yeah, I'll get launched, well before that time comes. And then before you know it, it's like, oh, now it's October. Oh, well, yeah. Thanksgiving's coming up. Oh no. So
happy holidays.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's stressful. It's like you don't know what's up and down yet, but it's cool just following that SavvyCal playbook. Just a year behind you.
Yeah. Nice. So what's top of mind for you this week?
We just joined a co-working space, which is pretty exciting. It ties into sort of a bigger thing in my mind because it's like we're spending a lot of time thinking about kind of what kind of company we want to build and what kind of culture and structure and stuff like that. And I know some of that stuff is top of mind for you as well. Yeah, with starting this new business, it's basically a new business, right? We started working on a landing page for it in February, and we started working on the product in March. And so that's like 3 months ago since we started coding, and it just sort of all happened really fast. So like we don't have a long like a vision or a mission statement or something like that. We just have a tweet basically and a list of 1,000 people who want to try the product. So that's kind of like the way it happened, right? So, but now we're starting to think like, and with COVID kind of getting much better here, and you can work from a different place in your home. It's like, how do we actually want to do this? Like, what sort of lifestyle do we want? And we both really want to go into an office sometimes, or at least have the ability to do it. So for now, that's a co-working space. When you're just one or two people, it's nice to be around other startups. And yeah, I mean, the fun thing, like you had to post like a, hey, I'm Peter post in the co-working space Slack channel. And I did that and mentioned Reform, and just from that Slack message was like 2 people was interested in trying the product. And there's a lot of reasons for us to be around other entrepreneurs and talk to a lot of founders. And it's it's the people we need to talk to anyway. So going to an office removes a lot of friction, and it's just nice to be around other people.
Yeah. How often do you think you'll go in?
Probably 2 to 3 times a week. There's a little commute to get there from where I live, but the cool thing is I live right on the water here in Copenhagen, and the co-working space is like in downtown Copenhagen, close to the water as well. So there's a little harbor ferry basically that you can take. It takes like 15 minutes, and it's really nice. Like you just get to see the city from the water side, and going to the office for me is also just an excuse to, or a way to like encourage me to go out a bit more and like go out in the city. And yeah, so I'm really excited about it, and only been there 1 day so far, but it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been thinking about the same thing. I toured the WeWork right across, like basically a 4-minute walk from my apartment. It was pretty cool. It's like 90,000 square feet of space, like 4 floors of this new building. It's a new building that's designed to look like an old warehouse, basically, because it's right. I live in the warehouse district of Minneapolis. And on the bottom floor is like this big spacious coffee shop that I've been working at. And then across the breezeway, there's a restaurant. And then there's also like a little place called the Galley that's just like a little food hall thing. So it's a pretty cool little spot. And I spent a lot of time over there already. And so, yeah, the WeWork looks cool. I don't know. Like I was thinking about doing it for myself because I wanted to practice better like ergonomics for my desk setup. I kind of just work on a laptop all the time. Like I used to have a bunch of monitors, external monitors, and now I just I move around so much that I don't really have a fixed setup. But surprisingly, like they don't have in their community spaces, they don't have any like adjustable height desks. So like if you want to do that, you have to like bring your own basically, which is sort of clunky. And then like the dedicated offices are fine, but like they almost feel like cubicles. But even though they have fancy glass all around them, it just still kind of feels like a cube farm. So I don't know. And it's decently expensive too. So I probably am going to hold off on pulling the trigger on that for now. But if I do end up, hiring an engineer here locally, and we want to do like a 2 to 3 day kind of meetup cadence, then I think it'd probably make more sense then to look at doing that.
So where we work from is like we picked the cheapest option, and they don't have fancy desks or anything like that. They do have the ability to work in the windows where they have basically standing. It's like standing desks because they're kind of tall. What other people think of as standing desk for me is it's like weird height desk because I'm tall. So I probably won't be using those.
Yeah. No, they're never tall enough for me.
Yeah, it's like squatting or something. It's an in-between thing.
Well, you should see a photo. I'll try to dig one up of the first drip office. It was laughably ugly. Ultimately, the people who started this thing like into buying a bunch of real estate in Fresno and like rehabbing old warehouses and like an old car dealership building from the early 1900s. And that's where our second drip office was. But initially, it was just like this old like depressing office building. And we had like a 10 by 10 foot office, and our chairs would knock up against each other. And we had these crappy desks that we bought from a thrift store. Like actually, I think they were in the building. Like they were just like desks that no one was using anymore. So yeah, we started out very, very scrappy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the way to do it.
What you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Another thing that's been top of mind this week is more of like on the product side of things is getting feedback from the people that sign up for the product. And I think it's the whole like product-led growth kind of company. Like it's hard to tease out feedback from people all the time. Whereas like if you're doing sales, like it's pretty like you're talking to people literally, so you will get some sort of feedback. And one of the issues we've been having is, so people sign up and they have some sort of expectation about the product, presumably. And before they sign up, it's hard for us to know if they have a use case right now or not. We do ask some questions in an onboarding survey, but we also make that optional because we don't want to add too much friction. And then a very high percentage of the people that sign up, they don't really do anything once they get into the app. And so the way I think about it is like, it's either one of two reasons. One is it didn't live up to their expectations. Like they looked at it and they're like, this is not something I can use. The other option is, this looks great, but I don't need it right now. So like, it's like filed in the next time I need a form, I'll just come back to this. It's great. Now I know this would work. And it's really hard to know which one it is. And waiting for like months to see if they come back also feels scary. So I've just been thinking about ways that they could commit a bit more. One thing we tried is having an annual deal where they get basically half price by paying annually. So hypothesis there is like it's people would pay upfront just to have it, so they have the tool when they need it. Hasn't been very popular yet. Most people actually seem to pick our monthly plan, even though it's twice as expensive. But obviously you can cancel it if you know you only need it for 1 month. Like it's cheaper still. But yeah, so one thing we also changed is we added a trial. So it's a little bit, the moment where people are forced to pay or do something is when they want to publish a form in our tool. So they can sign up and they can build a form, and then they can, if they want to publish it, they need to pay or start a trial. So we added the trial flow, and it seems like that's improved things a bit. So I think it's lower friction now. Like it's easier for people to say, I actually do have an intention to try this. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks good and I think I want to use it and I want to see my form live. So like, here's my credit card and you can charge it in 7 days if I haven't canceled it. So
yeah. It's so hard at this stage because you're operating with small data sets, right? And like in my early access phase for SavvyCal, there was definitely a good chunk of people who I know now have like come in and activated and started using the product. But at the time, it's just like people are so busy, like just it's so bottom of the list to like try out a new tool unless you really have like that like immediate need for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with if you're having if you have a podcast host or something like that. It's like, I don't just start a podcast because you started a podcast host, right? I know about you now. So like when I have a podcast, I'll probably pick you because I trust you and it looked good. But like there's a low chance that someone needs a form right the moment when I decide to send them an invite. So I think the numbers might also change once we just open up signups. So more people will just be like, I need a form right now. I have this, I want to try this tool. I sign up and instead of waiting for the invite.
Right. What are you most concerned about right now? Are you concerned that you've missed the mark on the features you've built so far? Or I guess what is the primary thing you're trying to learn from getting this information out of people?
There's a lot of things I know that we're missing, just like obvious things because we're 3 months old. Our competitor's like 10 years old. One thing I did is I started sending people an email that links to one of our forms. So they can just click a link that pre-populates the form. So it makes it really easy for them to give me some sort of indication about why they haven't published a form yet. And the results are starting to come in from that. And the overwhelming majority of those are, I didn't have an immediate use. So I think the thesis is holding up. Like I think that's actually the case. I think a lot of the people that signed up, they had enough context that they knew that they could probably use the tool because in signing up for our product right now, like our early access form is a reform. Our onboarding survey is a reform. The questionnaire we send you in an email is a reform. So you've probably seen, and maybe like some people signed up because you sent them a reform, right, Derrick? Because you used it as well. So they clicked our logo in the corner of your form. So they've probably seen a handful of reforms already at this point and have a pretty good idea about the product. So I'm not super worried that it's because they just hate it when they see it. By adding features and catching up to our competitors, I think we can probably like incrementally improve the number of people that sign up. I don't think it's like there's a big glaring missing thing or it's too ugly when they log in. So I don't know why I'm worried, except I'm just worried
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a new thing and it's scary and you don't really know yet.
Yeah. That is one of the nice things about entering a mature, well-established market is it's pretty well understood what the problem space is around forms. And like you have kind of a thesis around the ideal kind of use case for Reform right now. In case folks are not fully up to speed, Reform is effectively a Typeform competitor, right? So you're sort of going out, you're not going after like the people, like the static kit audience of people building like custom form endpoints to put it on a static site or something. This is more for like it gives you a pre-designed thing that looks kind of like Stripe checkout in its like very native feeling, but like is kind of less crufty and a faster experience than Typeforms. That kind of sum it up well.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. It's like our approach is like Typeform is something that it's very obvious that you're using Typeform, whereas we try to make it almost invisible, I think. So use system fonts and very limited design and that, so our thesis is when we allow a little bit of customization, like add the SavvyCal logo and your yellow color to the button, it feels like a SavvyCal thing and not necessarily a Reform thing. That's the core product idea right now, I think.
Nice. Well, I did just have the opportunity to use Reform with my product market fit survey. And
and I turned it into a template as well.
Did you? Very nice. Yeah, no, it worked really well.
It sort of already was a template, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was fun because I was in that camp of like, we've obviously been talking a lot about the product through this whole process because we're in a mastermind together. When it was kind of first ready to use, I was in that camp of like not having an immediate use case for it. And so I was kind of excited when this came up, like wanting to do a product market fit survey. And I was like, yeah, let's see what Reform can do. And it did the job. So
tiny quirks, but we worked them out.
Mm-hmm. I can share some results from that survey if you're curious.
Yeah.
The core question was the first one. It's like, how disappointed would you be if you couldn't use SavvyCal, or if the product went away, something like that. And that's sort of the core indicator on product market fit, according to Sean Ellis, or I think he's the one that developed this kind of framework. We came in at 35% very disappointed, which I think 40% is the kind of technical like line. So very, very close to that. I feel pretty good about it. And then like followed up by 57% of people who said they would be somewhat disappointed. So like a vast majority would be disappointed, and 35% very.
That's really good. Yeah, I think, you wouldn't need to move a lot of the somewhat disappointed to very disappointed. So it's probably just a matter of keeping them happy and having them use the product more.
And then we asked a bunch of questions like, what type of people do you think would benefit from SavvyCal? What's the main benefit you've received? How can we improve it? And so like heard a lot of things that we've heard before, but definitely like kind of it was just sort of a manual process to go through and pull out like insights that were maybe kind of novel or something we haven't heard before. So that was just kind of a fun like qualitative data mining exercise. And it's actually interesting to hear the main benefit piece. I might keep that a little bit close to the vest just from a competitive standpoint, but it was non-surprising. The thing
Calendly are catching up to some of your features or trying to.
Maybe, yeah. Feeling a little inspired, maybe. I don't know. But I was also thrilled. This is a stat that kind of blew me away a little bit. We asked, like, have you ever recommended SavvyCal to somebody? And 89% of respondents said that they've recommended it to somebody. So
that's insane. Like, that sounds like the real product market fit to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
More than the other one.
Yep. We could do like an NPS survey too, That's kind of more around the likelihood to refer. But I suspect, based on that percentage, we're doing pretty good on NPS.
We have that as well, but we haven't paid the NPS people to call it NPS, so we just call it scale.
Oh, interesting.
In our product. There are a lot of people calling it NPS, but I'm not sure that they know that they need to pay up to do that.
Interesting.
And
Is
it's
there
not super
there's like
cheap.
an official channel to go pay someone for the
You
rights?
can go buy a license, and they have different licenses. Because I once thought about doing an NPS tool for WordPress, so I looked into it back then. I can share some numbers just off the top of my head from when you did the product marketing survey, because I think we got like probably close to 10 signups just from you sharing the form. And that made me very excited, because that's a big part of our growth strategy for Reform, is people clicking the Reform logo after they're done with a form, hopefully after, before. That just felt like a really good indicator. Like if we can get a lot of people to use Reform, and they can like every month send a fraction of their respondents to use Reform as well. I think there's a big overlap as well with like the people that resonate with SavvyCal and resonate with Reform. Yeah, it still made me pretty excited to see that, at least to some extent, that little viral part of it is somehow working.
Yeah, that would come into about 8% of people who submitted the survey, I think.
Yeah.
So,
which is, I think, more than it would normally be, because the products are so closely like aligned from like a product vision. When they see our landing page, they probably like, it's the same style, same trend, I guess, design trend, a lot of it. So, but yeah, that's not bad at all. What are you up to besides that product market fit stuff? Was a while back, right?
yeah, so that was a couple of weeks ago, and actually we didn't. We waited for the results to come in, and then it took a little bit of time to finally do some analysis on it. So, yeah. But in addition to that, let's see. I shipped a feature, delegated access, that lets you basically grant access to your assistant to manage your SavvyCal account for you.
Are you warming up to Tim Ferriss or something like that?
No. I mean,
the VIPs.
I've recently had some more conversations with people who are like in the very busy and important people camp, who have like said like this. I basically need this, and it's so hokey to just like share your logins, especially because a lot of people are authenticating directly like with Google, and like I don't know. I think most people aren't just like giving the direct like credentials to their G Suite accounts to their assistant necessarily. So this one felt good, and it's our first addition to the premium tier, in addition to removing SavvyCal branding. So I'm kind of curious. I'm curious to see how that'll help encourage folks to hop on that higher tier. But like excited to kind of be thinking about things that could potentially fall into that. I think I've been sort of just not really in the mindset of thinking about that so far. And there's probably some features that honestly I could move over to the premium tier, because they're a little bit more advanced. I would grandfather folks in if I did that who already have access. But that was a nice one to get shipped. And then this one was tricky, but it took like about a week of kind of background effort. I have a bunch of plates spinning in the air right now, but this was last week. My main product update was reworking the logic when you add a teammate to a link and basically create a collective scheduling link that represents both of your availability. Before, what we would do is just like, okay, if I created the link and said I want it, the availability is my work hours, 9 to 5 Central Time, and then I added you to it, it would basically still represent 9 to 5 Central Time, but it would subtract your calendar events, the times that you're busy, from that. But the problem is, like, you're on the other side of the world. And so like, you ideally don't want to get a calendar invite for, 4 a.m. or something. Really what you want to happen is your work hours to overlap with mine, and we just show like the intersection of those two. And this was actually quite a bit of work. I had to like rework the guts of the like the scheduling, the availability engine that takes all the inputs and determines it. And I had to write like logic that would take two sets of like availability intervals and actually run a true like intersection on them, like compare each interval and subtract out the parts that don't overlap. And it was it was just a bit tricky, but trying to like write tests all along the way, because this is the you had one job part of SavvyCal that can't break. You know,
it's probably the part of your code base that has like 10 times as much test code as it has actual code, because the core is just like some logic stuff, but there's so many different use cases and edge cases and stuff like that.
Yeah. At one point I had like a 180 line long function because part of that's just because I'm in Elixir, which is like a functional paradigm language. And in Elixir, it's much more common to have like long functions, because it's just in general, like users of the language are not quite as obsessed about like tiny little methods as you would be maybe in something like Ruby, where that was always the goal, to have like a one-liner for everything. But yeah, that 180 line function was getting a little out of hand, so I did a bunch of refactoring around that too. But yeah, I mean, in general, like I'm feeling like struggling to make the kind of progress that I want to make on product stuff, because I'm also like spending a lot of time onboarding, still working with my support guy, who's doing a great job, but it's still taking quite a bit of time just to like ping pong back and forth on most support requests and stuff. That's necessary work.
Yeah. But overall, it's going good.
Yeah. But I mean, growth has been solid this month, and so I can't complain about that. Like everything just keeps humming along. Things that have been around the corner for a long time are like the round robin functionality, and then more calendar integrations. I think that's on your list actually of things that you want, like a fast mail integration.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
I had a kind of fun question, if I can put you on the spot. If you don't want to, we can just cut this out.
Oh, sure, go for it.
But I kind of thought about, because the way you framed this was, do you want to do the mastermind on air? Mm-hmm. Because Ben was out and Matt is out as well, that we're doing the mastermind with. In a more like mastermind fashion, I wrote down a question. But basically, so what I was thinking is like, I'm ripping off the SavvyCal playbook quite heavily with Reform. The two of us and Matt, we talk basically every day in Slack, and we go back and forth on a lot of different things. I think just yesterday we had like a thread about something related to some of my stuff that was more than 100 messages. Mm-hmm. So it was like, when you get in late on one of those, it's like, oh man, mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm going to catch up to this.
Poor Matt.
And you get like a thumbs up or something like that.
Yeah.
So basically what I thought was like, it would be fun for me, but I don't know how fun it would be for you, to basically, if we couldn't talk in Slack for the next, let's say 3 to 6 months, and you could only give me like 1 or maybe 3 pieces of advice for what to do with Reform, like you could basically tell me up to 3 things, and we can't talk for the next 3 to 6 months, and you have some sort of interest in Reform becoming a success as well. Like what are the things that you would want me to know? Is that a good or a bad question?
Wow, that's a hard question. I think.
Yeah, I said I was going to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Okay. 3 things.
You give me themes to think about, or books, or just like tactical advice, or.
This is not new. I mention this all the time, but we're both fans of the Traction book by Gabriel Weinberg and Justin Maris, and I think it's like that book is really helpful for the early stage when you're trying to figure out what marketing channels are going to scale and work well for like a product. And I would say like the SavvyCal, we're marching along, like things are working, but we're still kind of working those through those and trying to figure out what are those like really, really solid flywheels going to be for us. So I guess theme 1 would be like, keep a spirit of experimentation in the first 6 to 12 months of your business, because I mean, if you overinvest in one thing, you're kind of, maybe that's too big of a bet, So and that's why I like that. That's why I like that framework, because it's like like devising things in kind of small tests to test the waters on things to get a gauge.
Do you think marketing is coming up for? Is that something I should think about in the next, let's say, 6 months?
Marketing?
Yeah.
Just in general? Yeah, I think so. Because I think you're going to have, like, dealing with the tiny sample sizes that's one of the most painful parts of this phase, you know? Like, we just had an experience with I will say, borderline abusive customer in support, and she just was basically didn't understand anything about the product, somehow got in and I think had been using a competing product, but somehow made it into SavvyCal and then didn't understand anything and was just annoyed from the get-go. And we responded back with a very helpful reply, and she was giving us the worst rating possible in Help Scout, saying poor support, poor whatever, poor, just shredding us apart. And it's if that would have happened in the first 10, people to touch the app, I probably would have concluded we are way off base and we need to spend a ton of time investing in all these things that we've so far gotten by not having, we're a little light on educational resources. We're slowly building out the knowledge base and all the self-serve help, documents. But we've been able to not just be consumed by those tasks. We can still make progress on the product because I have enough sample size to know that this is good enough for a lot of people. And so those types of the danger of just dealing with really small sample sets is that little pieces of feedback like that you can over index on them really easily. And I think
that's a good point.
Yeah, and what you want to test is you're trying to build, very much like SavvyCal, a self-serve SaaS engine where ideally you build up your marketing channels, people arrive at your website, and then they convert at a consistent percentage and without much direct involvement from you. So they're not doing a sales call or a demo or whatever. But the only way to get that rolling is to start getting top of funnel traffic in the door, and you got to do marketing activities for that. It's not just going to happen. So yes, I think
I
think investing in marketing is super important, and you probably have the same bias that I do, which is never feeling like the product is good enough to really throw a lot of weight behind marketing. But you're going to have to push back against that hard,
Yeah, and a form builder with 10 field types still has a market of millions of people.
Tons of people can use it already in its current form, So,
good.
Yeah. Was that 2? Maybe we'll call that 2. I don't know.
Yeah, we can call it 2. I think it was 1, but let's call it 2. You think they'll keep me busy for 6 months when I come back in Slack?
I think so. I think that's enough to chew on. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
That's a good thought experiment, though.
A lot of the times when I talk to you and Matt, it's I pick up some sort of general advice that's general purpose startup advice from some book or something. And it's so easy for me to just be oh, yeah, we got to be doing that as well. We got to be, talking to our customers and scheduling demos and all this stuff. But it feels so many times when I talk to you and Matt about it, you have a different opinion than I expected. And it's always a little surprising to me, but I think you two have a really good way to think in terms of I guess first principles, or take a step back and what are you actually trying to do. And it's obviously it's good to talk to your customers, but you don't want to have a sales process. You don't you actually want to see if you can figure out ways to, make people convert themselves. Or I remember when fun thing when we announced Reform on Twitter, it was just an idea, and it was just one of a few ideas that we wanted to test, but then it blew up on Twitter, and it's we couldn't just the next day announce a new thing. That would just be weird because Twitter knew that we were doing this thing now. And then in my mind, it's I'm really thinking about all this lean startup, and MVPs and prototypes and stuff like that. So my first idea was to be super lean and just offer people to like build forms for them the same way that we build a form for our early access page. That was just a hard-coded reform basically, and just try to find a handful of people. And I remember you were like, wait a minute, like, how long is it going to take for you to find those people and sell them on the idea and go back and forth on like designing a form, and maybe they don't need it right now and all this stuff. And then compared to like, what if you just spend a month like, and you just worked really hard and just built like in the same amount of time, or I think it was actually 3 weeks. Like what if you spend 3 weeks? And that's what we did. And like in a month or something like that, like I think we had something that we could use ourselves, and a week more we had something that you could use, and you know, the next person the week later. And so that was really good advice. And now it's like, it's been 3 months since we started working. We have like 26 customers or something like that. So
well, and I think it's important to assess what your unfair advantages are. And a founder who is maybe non-technical, doesn't have a technical co-founder or something, and is just going to like throw money at outsourced development resources or something like that. Like for them, maybe the calculus would be different on how to devise initial tests. But for you, it's like, I mean, kind of rule of thumb, like if anything can be, if you can make a micro bet, which to me, like a micro bet is like investing 2 or 3 weeks of time into something and get like a high quality result from that test, then I think it's well worth it. Like that doesn't seem like an egregious, like way too big of a bet. And for you, it was like, well, what are you actually really trying to test? Are you trying to, you know, like you don't really want to
like
test.
We don't know if people want forms.
Right. People definitely want forms. And if they're primarily like dissatisfied with the product dynamics in some of the current incumbents, then what you're really trying to test is like, can you envision something that is, you know, significantly better in experience than the existing product? And that's not really testable by like hand building people's forms for them, you know? And so it's kind of like important to identify like, what are you actually trying to test there? And thankfully you're a developer and you can just, you and Bjorn can just like hustle on it and get stuff produced pretty quickly.
Yeah. So that's what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I'll put you in the hot seat now.
Because
so, I mean, I think a lot of the contents of that 180 message thread are probably not for public consumption, but I think it's worth touching on. This is something that we've talked a lot about on AOP. We keep coming back to this question of like, what type of company do you want to build? And I think that's something you've been giving thought to as well. I'm curious to hear you kind of share your perspective on like, I mean, we're both tiny seed funded companies, right? We've both taken investments from angels on safes. And so, but I would say we're still like indie funded and always wrestling with like scale of ambition and how hard to push, how aggressively to grow versus kind of optimized for lifestyle or cash flow. So talk me through where you're at on that.
There's basically 3 types of money that we can use to grow Reform. There's our own money. So just try to bootstrap and be super lean about it, or like do consulting or whatever. We can hustle. There is taking more funding, and there's the kind of funding that we've taken already, which is like the tiny seed money, which works if we become a $1 million company. So like let's say $10 to $20 million company, then their math works. And then there's like traditional VC money, which is not super appealing to me right now. The kind of company we want to build is probably more of I almost said Basecamp. It's fine. The type of company that Basecamp have described in their books, and maybe a wild bit or something like that. What you said yesterday in that thread was like, I think what you want to do is like build cool shit with Bjorn. And I mean, it summarized it pretty well. I think building a reform is so much fun because it's so much fun to see what people built with our tool. And that's what I want to do. And I don't want to do, it doesn't have to be $1 billion company for me to, I probably wouldn't enjoy that as much. So yeah, we are ambitious. And the reason we picked Reform is because it's a really big market and it's a really big challenge and it's a really big, some really big competitors. Like our main competitor is Typeform. They're like, you can say a lot of bad things about their product, but they also pioneered the form space and they have a pretty cool company. Like they put out some really cool things and they are competitors and it's kind of scary, but it's also a fun challenge, I guess. And it's like, what's different? Like what are our advantages being like super small and lean compared to them? And that's the fun part for me.
It's so fascinating too, because I mean, you just said they pioneered the form space, which they pioneered a kind of somewhat unique take on it with the spaced, the paced out, like progressive responses or whatever you want to call it. But they by no means pioneered the form space, right? I mean, Wufoo preceded them. And then before them, there was like SurveyMonkey and like, on and on and on, just long legacy of form providers. And it is hilarious how like this space like is continually ripe for disruption, much like I think the scheduling space is. Like there is a long legacy of various tools that have solved this problem. Maybe you could just say we're
SurveyMonkey.
We're in the business of building better mousetraps here. That's what we're doing.
Totally.
Which is so funny how that's like a pejorative thing. We're innovators. We don't build better mousetraps. And it's like, well, there's a lot of money to be made building better mousetraps.
It's execution risk when I like the way I think about it, because it's like, you know pretty damn well that there's a market. It's like, SurveyMonkey came out in 99, Wufoo came out in 2006, Typeform came out in 2012, and they all became huge businesses. And 20 years later, people still need forms all the time. And so there's no market risk. Like we know Justin Jackson talks about like there needs to be momentum and people need to be in movement. Like there are probably 1 million people every day looking for a form tool.
Yeah. Well, it's fun. It's fun kind of journeying into this realm, with you. It kind of taking
horizontal.
a similar, like a lot of properties of our businesses are very similar. So it's kind of fun to be able to compare notes and do these masterminds and just strategize.
Yeah, I hope we can do just 10% as well as Savical.
I'm quite bullish. I think Reform is going to be a great business.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. Well, anything else you wanted to get out before we call it a day?
I think I'm all good. It was fun to be on the AOP. I've listened since the Thoughtbot days.
Nice. Well, thank you for your loyal listenership. And folks can hear you do follow a similar format with our mutual friend Matt Wensing on Out of Beta. You guys release mostly weekly, right?
We missed 2 weeks, but otherwise, yes.
The streak has ended, but you're still highly consistent. So so check that out, and then people can also find you, Peter Suhm, on Twitter.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
You bet. Catch you later.
Bye.